Hello, happiness abounders, and welcome back. Today, I'm really excited to kick off another theme week all about self-care, but this week specifically diving into physical self-care. This is usually the first form of self-care to go out the window when we're stressed out, when we need it the most, which is why I've decided that it's probably one of the most important ones we should discover and dive into this week and this month. So that said, what is today's episode about? It is all about sleep. Physical self-care is one of those first things to go out the window, and the first form of physical self-care to leave us when we need it the most is sleep. Think about it. When you're stressed out, you have a harder time going to sleep because your mind is racing. You're staying up late to finish projects. You're not giving your body the rest and the recovery, the recuperation that it needs. So that's what I want to talk about today, sleep and what it means for our form of physical self-care and why it is so important. So, sleep, first and foremost, we need to shift our mindset that our day starts the night before. Now, I've spoken about this a little bit when I was diving into morning routines a couple episodes back. I think it was about a month or so ago now. But a couple episodes back, I spoke all about morning routines and the power of starting your day the night before. Now, in that instance, I was talking about setting up routine cards and things like that. But really, if we look at sleep as part of our day and not a cap on our day, but the beginning of our day, can really change how we look at sleep as a form of self-care. Because if you start to look at sleep as, I'm starting my day by closing my eyes and going to sleep and getting the rest and recovery that I need so I can wake up and get the things done that I need to get done, to have the energy I need, the mental clarity, the emotional management that I need, the emotional control, right? Have you ever had a terrible night's sleep, or you've stayed up really late and only gotten a couple hours and your emotions feel like they are running wild? That's because we haven't given our body, the physical, and our mind, the physical self-care that it needs to recover. And that all comes from sleep. Now, it's really interesting too, because anyone who's worth their salt, when you are talking to them about weight loss, right, an expert, most people want to dive into the food that you're eating, are you working out, etc. But one of the core fundamental pieces, foundational elements of weight loss, is giving your body ample sleep, ample time to recover, ample time to let go of those stress, cortisol, whatever they're called, right? Those hormones, and really work through the recovery process so that you can lose weight. There's been studies that have been done that people with sleep apnea who don't get full sleep actually can have weight problems because their body is not getting the full REM cycle that it needs to fully recover, because your body keeps on getting jerked awake slightly when you can't breathe because you have sleep apnea. And I'm not saying we all have sleep apnea. I'm not saying you have it if you are overweight. But what I'm saying is sleep is a foundational piece of physical self-care in many forms, right? It's important for our body to rest and recover. It's important for our mental clarity, our emotional management, our physical well-being. And when we don't prioritize sleep, when we don't start to think of it as the start of our day, that's when we run into trouble. I know I did this all through high school, junior high. I'd postpone a project and then I'd stay up late finishing it the night before, or staying up late studying for a test, and then I'd do terrible on the test. And it was like, well, I knew all the information. I'd stayed up and I'd studied for it. But the truth of the matter is that I hadn't given my body and my brain the mental relaxation, the recuperation that I needed through a good night's sleep. Now, imagine doing that all the time. What does that do to your body? What does that do to your brain? It's usually, like I said, the first thing to go when it comes to self-care, but is one of the most important elements of physical self-care. So as you're listening to this episode, I want you to be thinking, do you prioritize your sleep? Do you view sleep as a form of self-care or as something to do? What I mean by that is we all have to sleep, but it's usually like, oh, I have so much to do and I need to go to bed, but I have so much to do. I'm going to stay up a couple minutes later. Or I'm going to stay up reading this book because I'm so tired that I don't want to go to bed. Have you ever had that happen? That happens to me all the time. Like, I'm so tired and I know I should go to bed, but then I keep on scrolling through Facebook, or I keep on reading that book because it's like I'm so tired that I don't want to do the work that it takes to go to bed. Yeah. But when that happens, we're never at our best the next day. So if you leave with nothing else other than this in this episode, I want you to leave with two things. One, sleep is a form of self-care, and we need to prioritize it so that we can be functioning at our highest levels and be moving towards our best selves. As we look at the form of happiness, right, the emotions of happiness and everything that it takes to get there, right, we're over 350 episodes. We're almost on 365, which is really cool because that's a whole year's worth of content, which makes me really excited. But we're almost at that mark, and throughout every single one of these episodes, I have shared something that we could be doing to be happier. But we can't do that work if we can't get there because we haven't had enough sleep. Core foundational piece of the puzzle to your happiness, to your well-being, to your self-care routines. So that's number one. Sleep is important, and look at it as a form of self-care. And then number two, to shift that focus that it is a form of self-care, start thinking of your day starting the night before. The second your head hits that pillow, that is the start of your day, and you are setting yourself up for success. It's really funny because for me personally, I love sleep. I love it. I love it so much. I have a great relationship with sleep. And I'm the kind of person that, very lucky, so lucky to be this way, but I can sleep anywhere, anytime, any place. There has been times where I have been like, I am so exhausted because I'm so emotionally overworked and mentally overworked because I like to go hard, where I've crawled under my desk for 15 minutes and I can take a nap and come back totally refreshed and bounced right back. Right? I'm very lucky in that regard. But I have continued to prioritize sleep as my number one form of self-care. And truth be told, it doesn't take anything extra, right? We all go to sleep. It's just a matter of, are you setting it as a priority? Are you going to bed at a decent time so you can get the full recovery and recuperation your body, your brain, your emotions need? So those are the two things to take away from this episode as we continue to dive into physical self-care throughout the week and throughout today, right? So be thinking, how are you prioritizing sleep? Have you just brushed it off like it's not that important? Because, oh my goodness, it is. We cannot function at our highest levels. We cannot have a strong foundation to achieve our goals, to escalate and to level up our lives if we cannot get good sleep. Doesn't take a lot of extra. We all sleep anyways. But thinking of it as a form of self-care, as a way to indulge and really embrace who you want to be, is everything. So I want you to think of that, about that, and leave with that today. And stay tuned through the rest of the week because we'll be talking about food, fitness, stress management, and body language as additional forms of physical self-care. So stay tuned throughout the rest of the week. If this episode resonated with you, do a couple of things. One, share it with a friend or family member. Post it on your social media. Let other people find out about this episode and share why it resonated with you. And or leave a 5-star review on iTunes. It's as simple as a click at the bottom that says 5 stars. Or even better, you can leave a written review to really share with me how the podcast has helped you and to help other people who may be in the same boat you are find the podcast and continue to grow on their happiness journeys as well. So all of that said, I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay tuned as we continue to talk about physical self-care. Be thinking about how you think about sleep and try to change your mindset surrounding it as a form of self-care. And above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.